Hello, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Melissa with 1S, but you can call me Mel. Within the past 2 weeks, I have been sharing with you my full house plant collection. I showed you all the plants that I have on the main floor in my home, and then I also showed you all the plants that I have here in my plant room, including my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. I really wanted to follow up those 2 videos with a video showing you that I too have plants that are struggling. I don't know about you and where you live, but my plants have definitely taken a hit within the seasons changing. Here where I live, we are going into winter and we are losing light at about 5 p.m. So that is quite early, which means I do have to turn on my grow lights a lot earlier or leave them on a lot longer. So I will be showing you 5 plants that are either struggling due to root rot or struggling due to pests. This is just going to be a message for all my plant parents that you are doing your best, hang in there. Plant burnout is real. If you feel overwhelmed or stressed because of your plants, it's part of the hobby, unfortunately. I like to compare it to humans, right? We get sick. We don't like that there's less light throughout the day. We don't like that it gets cold, right? So same with our plants, but we can help ourselves. Our plants, they depend on us to help them, right? So if you need to reach out, leave a comment down below and we'll chat about our struggles and help each other as much as we can throughout this season. And hopefully we can come back strong in the spring. But although I did post a video about all the winter tips, even myself, I'm struggling, with my plants. Just because you do all you can, things are still going to happen. So I just want to put that out there that, there's no perfect plant, right? All plants are going to go through phases and that's okay, right? It's a normal thing. It's a normal thing, and I just want to remind you that it is okay and just do your best, and that's all the plant can ask for, right? So leave a comment, let's chat about it, and hopefully we can help each other out. Is it snowing? It's snowing. It's full out snowing right now. Great, that's exciting. It's like November 15th and it's snowing. It's fine. Let's move on with the video. So the first plant I have to show you is my Rafitifora de Cursiva. Now this was completely my fault. I take full responsibility. This plant got root rot. This plant came in a soil that was quite dense, the soil that it came in from the garden center, and I brought it home. I knew that it should have been repotted and I should have changed the soil, amended it a bit better so that it would be a bit more airy. And sure enough, because I was procrastinating and I didn't do it, especially going into fall and going into winter, the plant did get root rot. But thankfully, I was air layering in the plant. So the plant pushed out a leaf that had fenestrations. I air layered it and I was able to cut it off and now grow a separate plant, which is good. So it was good for insurance purposes. And now I have it in moss. I was able to clean out as much rot as I could, and hopefully the plant will grow some healthy roots in the moss. And at the same time, I am air layering it one more time to hopefully get 1 or 2 cuttings to root, and then I'll cut it and make a different plant. So it's bittersweet. I'm sad that, of course, it's such a beautiful plant and it was doing well, but because I neglected it and I didn't do it right away, it suffered the consequences. So here she is now. Hopefully she can recover. But this is just a friendly reminder for those plants that you probably should attend to, that you may save them that root rot. Here is the cutting I was talking about. So it is a top cutting, and here is the fenestrated leaf, and it's just sitting in moss. I have it in my greenhouse cabinet. Plant number 2 that is on the struggle bus is my Philodendron Silver Sword or Philodendron Hastatum. I'll show you it briefly before I tell you my story, but it is such a beautiful plant. I am attached to this plant because I did rehab and rescue it. I'll leave the video in the description if you want to check it out. A few things have happened to this plant within the past few weeks, past 3 weeks. I first air layered this plant because it pushed out 2 immature leaves, so without like the very defined lobes. I ended up cutting it once roots were coming through the moss. I ended up trading it, which worked out. But after I cut it, a new growth point has started to push out. I'll insert a picture as well. So there's a growth point on one side and there's a little growth point on the other. So this plant's telling me that it's hanging in there, it's doing okay, but within that week where I gave the watering that affected some of my plants, this plant did start to get root rot. So I had to treat for root rot. I ended up cleaning the roots. I ended up amending the soil. So thankfully I caught it in advance where it didn't completely, affect the whole root system. So I'm thankful for that. But then I had one leaf. So you can see here that I did cut a leaf off and it yellowed. So this leaf started yellowing for some reason, and I don't know, I decided to chop it off because I just was frustrated. And anyways, I should have left it on, but I didn't. So I ended up cutting it and I saw that the inside was browning. So I don't know what that means. I'm assuming it did get affected by the root rot. And then I have seen a bit of suspicious spots that may be thrips on this plant. So that's just another issue that I'm trying to treat. So quite a few things are happening with this plant, and I'm just trying to keep on top of it. I'm trying to be patient. I'm trying to do what I can. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I actually may end up cutting this plant again just so that I can save one of the bigger mature leaves, but we'll see. So stay tuned if you want to find out some of that. You can also follow me on Instagram. I do post there daily, so you can check out if I provide an update about this guy. The third plant that I have that is struggling is my Monstera Thai Constellation. Now this one is hurting a little bit because it is a more expensive plant, but if you look at it, you may say, Melissa, what do you mean? It looks gorgeous. Like, doesn't look like anything's wrong with it. Well, let me tell you. Long story short, I bought the plant in sphagnum moss. A few weeks later, I upped the container just a bit and added more moss. The plant started to push out a new leaf, and I had it here in front of the wood skid just with this grow light. And sure enough, it pushed out this beautiful, beautiful leaf. But fast forward a bit, I got an IKEA greenhouse cabinet, I put it together, and I saw that a lot of people were putting their Monstera Thai constellations in the IKEA greenhouse cabinet, which is what I decided I was going to do. But at the same time, I wanted to decide whether or not I was going to keep it in moss or change it into a chunky mix. So I went on Instagram, I spoke to a bunch of people, there was a lot of mixed messages, but at the end of the day, I did take that jump and also that risk and switched the plant from moss to a chunky mix. But at the same time, I ended up putting it in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, which is probably where I went wrong. Since I've done that, the plant has slowly declined. It has had root rot, and I've been monitoring it, cutting off the rot, cleaning it, but I've lost the 2 smaller leaves, if you remember seeing it before. And I think I'm about to lose this one as well because it is yellowing. I'm very nervous because I don't want to lose any of the bigger leaves. So I think what I'm going to do is actually take it out of the IKEA greenhouse cabinet and leave it here just so that I can monitor it and it can dry out a bit quicker and see what happens. So that's the story on my Monstera Thai. I know that they're notorious for root rot and being picky, but I still love the plant. It is still such a beautiful plant, and I would just want to try my best to take care of it the best that I can. So let me know if there are any other tips that you may have when it comes to the Monstera Thai. But yeah, so she is struggling a little bit at the moment. The fourth plant that I have on the struggle bus is my Ficus Audrey. Now, there was a few concerns with this plant. One of them was, yet again, root rot. The other one was potentially like a bacterial infection because I started to see brown spots on the leaves. So I ended up treating it for pests as well, just in case, because I wasn't too sure. So I ended up spraying it down twice, and then I ended up cleaning out the roots. It did have a bit of root rot, but not completely. And yeah, so now there is the browning in the leaves. I'll take a picture of it and show you. And let me know if you can kind of figure out whether or not it is because of the root rot or because of some sort of infection. But I do have some good news. After all of that stuff that happened, it is pushing out a new leaf, which is incredible. It's showing that this plant is resilient, that it is hanging in there. And yeah, I would say it's about, I don't know, maybe 3 feet or so. So it is quite a tall plant, which I'm proud of, but ficus are quite finicky when it comes to light and water, and I've been pretty lucky with them, but unfortunately, again, during this change in seasons, my ficus have definitely taken a hit. I ended up selling my ficus burgundy. You may or may not have seen it in my oh, actually you did. It was on the table for my houseplant collection tour on my main floor. So that one did sell. My ficus ruby, I did cut it. I'll actually show you it briefly in just a moment. And my ficus teneki, or my variegated one, the white one, I did sell that one. And I do still have this one, debating whether or not to keep it just to kind of see how it goes. But because it is pushing out a new leaf, it is still healthy and alive. So we'll see. You may not see this plant again, or I may keep it. But yeah, another one that's been having a rough go, but I'm glad to say that it is pushing through and continuing to grow. I'm just going to briefly touch on this plant because I just mentioned it, but you would have seen it in my house plant tour video. So this is the other ficus that I was talking about that I ended up cutting, and it does have a growth point now on the side. So it is successfully continuing to grow, but it did have a rough patch with a bit of root rot. I did start to see a little bit of specks on the leaves, which was concerning me. So for insurance, I ended up cutting the top piece of it, which I have in water, and it is successfully growing some roots. It is slowly being able to root in the water, which is great. And potentially I can have another plant with this cutting. So yeah, so another ficus that was struggling, but hopefully I can hang in there. And for my fifth and final plant, I'm actually going to be talking about both of my Monstera Deliciosa plants, specifically the one that I have behind here, and then also the one that I have downstairs. So for some reason, thrips are definitely coming out more and more this season, and I've had to treat this plant multiple times already for thrips. So far it's doing okay, but you can see some damage from the thrips, so you see the discoloration on the leaves. So unfortunately it did get hit with thrips, and then if you saw my video, I think a month back now, I was treating my big Monstera Deliciosa downstairs on the main floor for thrips as well, so if you want to check that out. But obviously when you treat for thrips, it's a more of a long-term commitment because you do have to spray the plant every week if possible, or I was doing it actually twice a week because I love my Monstera Deliciosa plants. So definitely thrips have been an issue for my Monstera Deliciosa plant, but I think I have it under control. I haven't lost the plants completely to thrips, which is good. You just have to keep on top of it, especially for winter. This is more and more prevalent, and it is something that you will see more of. So be patient, do the treatments. If you care about your plant enough, then you're gonna have to stay on top of it. If it's a plant that, doesn't spark joy, or a plant that you can kind of replace for a cheap amount of money, like $5 or $10, then you can chuck it if you'd like, because you're probably going to spend more treating it versus buying another plant. So that's just up to you. It's a personal choice on how attached you are to the plant. But yeah, so my Monstera Deliciosa have definitely also been struggling with thrips, but fingers crossed we can get it under control. Alright folks, so those are the plants that I wanted to share with you today. You can leave a comment down below and share with me some plants that you're struggling with. I know that I posted 2 videos of my houseplant tour, and I got so many great compliments and so many positive comments and questions about how I keep all my plants beautiful and healthy. And I just wanted to show you behind the scenes that even myself have plants that are struggling, and I wanted to be transparent with you so that we can all learn from each other, and it's part of my plant mom journey. So you can share with me some of the plants that you're struggling with at the moment, and hopefully we can support each other along the season, because it is a little bit more challenging throughout the fall and winter. All right, so thank you so much, and just a few seconds and say thank you to all my subscribers. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is incredible. A lot of you have been engaging and connecting with me within the past couple of months, which is fantastic. It makes me so happy and motivates me every week to post a video for you all. So thank you so much. Give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on whether or not you liked it, and I will see you soon.